So again, welcome to Readings in Philippine History, Module 13 or Lesson 13, and this would be about social, political, economic, and cultural issues in Philippine history. But for this particular lesson module, it talks about the Philippine tax system. So at the end of this module, you are expected to study the evolution of taxation in the Philippines, recognize that the problem in the Philippine taxation are consequences of decisions and events that happened in the past. Understand several enduring issues in the Philippine taxation. But for today, we will be only focusing on number one, and that is the evolution of taxation in the Philippines. And the rest would be your assignment and the rest of the activities for the week before the pre-final examination next week. Okay. So, what is a Philippine taxation system? So this one is on the photo shown here is actually an original cedula way back in 1884. Cedula personal. Okay, so today at this time we also have our cedula, di ba? That's the community tax that we get every start of the year, and that we should keep it. I think your parents should have that. I'm not quite sure if you are um, allowed to get it, but I think you can get a tax community, a cedula, okay, for you to keep. So for the evolution of Philippine taxation. So but let us know what is taxation. So taxation basically is a system of raising money to finance the government. So every expenditure or the money that a government has comes from the people's tax. Okay? So all governments require payments of money, taxes from people. So if you are earning already, you are obliged to pay your tax. Governments use tax revenues to pay soldiers and police. So those who are battling in war, for example, in Mindanao or anywhere else, the government is paying for the soldiers. For the uniformed policemen on the road, we are paying, the government is paying for them. To build dams and roads, so basically, if ever there would be construction that you will encounter and you'll see across the street or in your town, then that's financed by the government. To operate schools and hospitals. So these are government schools and hospital. The public schools and hospitals are being financed by the government by from our taxes. To provide food to the poor and medical care to the elderly, and for hundreds of other purposes. Without taxes to fund its activities, government could not exist. So, meaning, um, like for example, at this point in time that we are in pandemic, and especially during the start of the quarantine period or the total lockdown, well, technically, collection of taxes was freeze during that time, and there was really no collection of money from the taxes that's happening then, except for those people who continuously work even if it's lockdown. So here, taxation is the most important sources of revenues for modern governments, typically accounting for 90% or more of the income of the government basically came from the taxes. Okay, so after when you start working on your own, then you will also be due for taxes. And they said nga that even our kaapo-apuhan will be paying taxes for the government's expenditure. What is the concept of taxation? So taxation is the inherent power of the state to impose So take note of the word to impose and demand contribution upon persons, properties, or rights for the purpose of generating revenues for public purposes. So when you say impose and demand, sabihin, no one is excused of not paying your taxes once you are earning and once you have your salary. Taxes are enforced proportional. Take note of the term enforced, meaning it's really take note of the terms imposed, we demand, and enforced, meaning no one is really excused from not paying your taxes once you are earning your money from the salary. So taxes again are enforced proportional contributions from persons and property levied by the law-making body of the state by virtue of the sovereignty for for the support of the government in all public needs. So basically, if you are working and you are being taxed, technically we are supporting the government. So all the government's money, or they say it's 90% of the government's money, came from us, came from the taxpayers. What are the essential characteristics of tax? So again, have you we were talking of the terms used, it's enforced, imposed, and demanded. And here's another powerful term that's used for as a characteristic of tax. It's an obligatory contribution. You are obliged, you are forced, you are enforced. It is an imposing act. It is a demand that comes from the government that we pay the contribution. It is generally payable in money. Yes, it is in terms of money because it is being deducted from your monthly salary. So you may ask your parents to show you their pay slip, and there's a portion there that says that's the taxes has been deducted from them. So it is generally payable in money. So yes, it has been deducted from your salary, from the salary of the taxpayer. It is proportionate in character, usually based on the ability to pay. So when you say proportionate, really depends on the amount of your salary. So meaning if you earn more, then there is a bracket of how much you are imposed to pay. That depends on how much you earn. So it is imposed again. The term imposed is again I'll use here. It is imposed on persons and property within the jurisdiction of the state or the country. It is imposed again pursuant to legislative authority. The power to tax can only be exercised by the lawmaking body or the Congress. Again, it is imposed for public purpose. So can you see the powerful word imposed, meaning everyone is obliged to pay your taxes once you are earning. So basically, the module would really be talking about evolution of taxation in the Philippines. So how you are taxed, how much you are taxed, and the computation of the amount of money you will be contributing won't be discussed here because there's a separate subject or course for that, and that is a taxation and land reform subject or course. So for here, we will be only talking of the evolution of taxation in the Philippines, and we might not be covering everything, but uh, the best would be for you to read based on the supplementary references or materials that are posted in your LMS. And also, may I remind you that you also have your virtual library, that whatever additional information that you would like to look for or research on, then you can go to the virtual library and just type in the keyword, and then every material will be related to the topic that you would like to research on will will appear on that, and that's for you to choose all the journals that are available. So going back, the during the Spanish period, so Spaniards imposed the payment of tributes or tributos from the Filipino, similar to what had been practiced in all colonies in America. The purpose is to generate resources to finance maintenance of the islands. Again, salaries of the government officials and expenses of the clergy. Aside from what I've said, aside from the construction of the roads, payments for the policemen and soldiers, and for the maintenance and management of the public hospitals and schools. Basically, the purpose or the taxes that has been collected to us have been collected to us are also for the salaries of the government officials, from the president down to the barangay officials. They are from the taxes that are collected. So here, even during the Spanish period, the purpose of taxes is to generate resources to finance maintenance of the islands, meaning maintenance of the whole Philippines. That would be the salaries of the government officials and the expenses of the clergy or the priest also. Exempted during that time, there was an exemption of payment of the tributus or the tributes or the taxes. They were the alcaldes, the mayors, the gobernadores, the governors, cabezas de barangay or barangay chairman, the soldiers, members of the civil guard, the government officials, and the beggars. So therefore, before there was really an exemption. So in 1884, payment of tribute was replaced by a poll tax collected through cedula personal. So that was actually the photo I showed a while ago. That's an example of a cedula personal, which was used as a replacement for a poll tax, which a payment, which is a payment for the tribute or the tributo. So sabi nga dito, unlike the tribute or tributo, payment of cedula is by person, not by family, based on income categories. Okay, so it's an individual, it's a cedula personal, so you call the cedula personal. It's being paid, payment is by per person and not by family, based on income categories. So, two direct taxes were added in 1878. So, from 18, and imposed on urban incomes, urbana, a tax on the annual rental value of an urban real estate, and an industria, a tax on salaries, dividends, and profits. So these are called the direct taxes in 1878. Indirect taxes, such as custom duties, were imposed on exports and imports to further raise revenue. Forced labor, so direct taxes are urbana and industrial, parang just like the same as now. Whenever you buy in a department store or in grocery or even in your 7-Eleven, everywhere you go, there's actually an indirect tax that is imposed on every item and every good that you paid. Actually, it is when you pay, for example, a bar of soap, tax is already included. But for example, when you go to United States of America, when you buy an item, for example, when you buy your cellular phone, for example, or your, um, for example, you buy anything in America, the price posted in the supermarket is not actually the actual price that you're going to pay. When you go to the counter, tax will also be added pa, and that would be the indirect tax that they're talking about. Unlike here in the Philippines, when you buy something, if they say it's 10 pesos, that's already 10 pesos. But in America, if they say it's 9 pesos, $9, it's not $9 per se, but additional tax will be imposed, and expect that you won't be paying $9 only, but there's also an additional tax for you to pay when you go to the cashier or the counter. So generally, taxation in the Philippines during the Spanish period was characterized by forced labor. Sabi nga dito, forced labor was a character of Spanish colonial taxation in the Philippines and was required from the Filipinos. When you say forced labor, you would imagine how risky jobs then that you are forced to do the job, even how much risky it is. And there was also a material that says that during those time there was a reduction in the population because of the numerous death because of the forced labor during the Spanish colony. So here, sabi nga dito, taxation in the Philippines during the Spanish colony period was characterized by heavy burden placed on the Filipinos. So parang we were, and the corruption of the principals or the former datus and local elites who were co-opted by the Spaniards to suppress and control the natives on their behalf. So meaning it was really ordinary Filipinos were really kawawa naman during that time because the burden was on the ordinary people and corruption was rampant. For the principals and the former datus. You see, principals, they are actually mentioned here. The principals are actually the alcaldes, the gobernadores. Hindi ba? So the principals, eto na, the principals who were given positions as cabezas de barangay or alcaldes were able to enrich themselves by pocketing tributos while the peasants were left abused. So if you could just imagine, it is as if it's the same scenario that you will be seeing in the social media right now, that money were being pocketed. Sabi dito, they were the cabezas de barangay alcaldes, the local government were able to enrich themselves. Sila yung mga nagyumaman by pocketing tributos while the peasants were left abused. So you can say that it was a heavy burden on the part of the ordinary Filipino, and it is also they also use a term, they were abused. They were abused in a sense that the taxes were being paid by the peasants and the ordinary Filipinos, and however others are just pocketing. They said it here. They were able to enrich themselves by pocketing tributos. Taxation appeared progressive by the disparity between the less taxed principals and the heavily taxed peasants made the richer rich and the poor poorer. So you could just imagine, because of the disparity, because the principals or the cabezas de barangay and the local government officials were less taxed as compared to the peasants who are heavily taxed. That's why they say that the rich gets richer and the poor gets poorer because of the disparity of how they were being taxed during that time. And here during the American period, basically after the colony of the Spanish and then Americans came, and when we were during the colony of the American, they said that they also used the taxation system used by the Spanish government with a slight enhancement. Sabi nga dito, Americans followed the Spanish system of taxation. The urbana, which is a tax on the annual rental value of an urban real estate, was replaced, however, as land tax that charged both urban and rural real estate. So, both na. In July 2, 1904, the BIR, the Bureau of Internal Revenue, was created through the passage of the Reorganization Act number 1189. So, noong 1984, may BIR na. So, as we were saying, no, during the American period, it was in 1904 that the BIR, or the Bureau of Internal Revenue, was created. And in the same year, it was formally organized and operational. So the Bureau is mandated by the law to assess and collect all national internal revenue taxes, fees, and and charges. Oh, again, so in 1904, the Internal Revenue Law of 1984 was created. So, ang sabi dito, license and excise taxes, taxes on banks, documentary stamp taxes, cedula, taxes on insurance company, forest products, mining concessions, taxes on business, and occupational licenses. And in 1907, changes in cedula and industria tax. The cedula under the new law went through changes as the rate was fixed per adult male. Some places were authorized to double the fee for the cedula. So it is really an evolution, no? However, it could be an enhancement of what was have of what already was existing then, and they were just enhancing it. So in 1913, they created an Underwood-Simons Tariff Act. Its purpose was to reduce duties on manufactured and semi-manufactured goods and to eliminate duties on most raw materials. So, and this act naman is also pro the manufacturing firm that they would be taxed lesser. So new sources of tax were introduced, income tax. Of course, you will be hearing that now, your personal income tax and then the inheritance tax. What are those inheritance tax? If, for example, um, you inherited a property or a lot, for example, from your forefathers, then if the title or the name of the title will be transferred to you or to anybody else, then you will be charged an inheritance tax. Okay, an income tax, for, as we all know, is actually the regular tax that they are imposing or getting from us. And then during the Commonwealth period and income, sabi nga dito, as I've said, no, basically those taxes are, the evolution was really observed, and it's just an enhancement of what they were exercising then. So in 1936, income tax rates were increased. In 1937, cedula was abolished. And in 1940, residence tax was imposed on every citizen aged 18 years old and on every corporation. I am. Can you search on this and how this goes, how this went? How come resident tax was imposed on every citizen aged 18 years old in every corporation? So meaning if you are working already and you are 18 years old, kasi in every corporation, meaning those citizen working and 18 years old are imposed to pay a residence tax. And in 1939, they drafted the National Internal Revenue Code introducing major changes in the new tax system. So the continuation this would be for your assignment, and that would be for your added materials reading, but basically I only touch on until the Commonwealth period. So the rest would be in 1946 until the present time, present period. But when you talk of history and you talk of evolution, it really talks only about the date and the time, the date or the year, and the activity or what transpired during that specific year. But I saw a material here in YouTube that you know, memorizing dates and memorizing years or memorizing events are quite taxing on our part. But this one is a good presentation which I saw in YouTube, and I hope this would be. I hope you could play this and you would be able to watch this. And this was actually made only recently, August 2020. So the history of taxation in the Philippines will cover from what I started a while ago during my presentation of my slides and until 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 today's government, until the presidency of Rodrigo Duterte, President Rodrigo Duterte. So here it goes.
Ma'am, excuse. Wala po ba talaga siyang audio?